The power of time. In a forgotten village nestled between mountains and rivers, time was a force more tangible than the wind. The people lived in harmony, each moment ticking away with measured grace. Among them was an old clockmaker named Elias, known far and wide for his meticulous craft. His clocks didn't just keep time, they seemed to hold it. Elias's masterpiece was a grand, golden clock that stood in the village square. It was said that the clock did not merely measure time, it controlled it. Its pendulum swung not just with the hours, but with the very fabric of life. Seasons seemed to obey its rhythm, and the villagers grew to believe that their destinies were entwined with the ticking of its gears. One day, a young traveler named Leora arrived in the village. She was a seeker, driven by a deep yearning to understand time, not just as a fleeting measurement, but as a force that shaped everything: growth, decay, joy, and sorrow. The village welcomed her warmly, but she was drawn to Elias and his clock. "Elias," Leora said one evening as the sun set behind the mountains, "is it true your clock can control time?" The old man smiled softly. "It doesn't control time. It simply honors it. Time has a power we can never fully understand, but we must respect it. Every tick, every talk, is a reminder that time is always moving, always shaping us." Curious, Leora asked, "But can we change it? Can we bend it to our will?" Elias shook his head. "We cannot change time, but we can change how we live within it." Leora pondered his words for days, her mind restless. One night, under a sky full of stars, she returned to the clock. She stared at its intricate mechanisms, mesmerized by how something so delicate could mark something so profound. A storm rolled in that night, unexpected and fierce. As lightning cracked across the sky, the clock stopped. Time, in that moment, felt suspended. The village woke to silence. The birds did not sing, the river did not flow, even the wind seemed frozen. Leora rushed to Elias's workshop. "The clock has stopped. What does it mean?" Elias looked at her with wise, ancient eyes. "It means we have forgotten that time is more than a measure. It is a gift. It reminds us that moments are precious." Together, they went to the clock, its still hands heavy in the silence. Leora felt a deep pull, an understanding dawning within her. Time was not just something to chase, nor something to fear. It was something to live. She reached out, and as her fingers brushed the clock, something miraculous happened. Time resumed, not in a rush, but gently, like the first breath of dawn. The river flowed again, the birds sang, and the wind whispered through the trees. Elias smiled. "You see, Leora, the power of time is not in controlling it, but in embracing it. When we stop chasing it, we find ourselves in harmony with it." From that day on, Leora understood that time was both fleeting and eternal, a paradox woven into every heartbeat, every sunrise. And she lived not in fear of its passage, but in reverence of its gift, the gift of now. Time flowed on, as it always did, but in that village, it was no longer something to be measured. It was something to be cherished.